Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I'm Gold Derby Senior Editor Daniel Montgomery here with our contributors Jeffrey Kare and Cordell Martin to discuss two things. We're going to discuss the most recent episode of Dancing with the Stars, Dedication Night, and then we're going to go over the dances for next week's show, which will be Disney Night. Let's start with the main news coming out of Dedication Night, which was the elimination of Brooks Nader and Gleb Savchenko. Not too surprising, a little bit disappointing in the sense that everyone danced well. Like everyone did a pretty good job. Like the competition is getting tougher, which is what should be happening at this point in the season. So it's nice to see that. But so she went out on a good dance. A little bit sad to see that, but I'm not gonna miss the showmance. They can carry on doing whatever they wanted to do all season now that she's eliminated. What did you think about that elimination and her performance, Cordell?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think Monday really just showed everyone just stepping up their game across the board. Was really just proud of everyone and the work that they did. Um, when it was all said and done, wasn't surprised that Brooks was the one to go home. Like we mentioned last week, just the nature of, this particular week, the fans gravitate towards those inspirational, emotional, heartwarming stories. And hers was just more, fun and well, sexy as always. And so there just wasn't anything that really helped her kind of stand out or show a different side to really get the voters to, rally behind her and support her. So wasn't surprised. And I guess we'll probably talk more about it, but was kind of, disappointed at who else was in the bottom or in jeopardy with her as well.
Yeah. What did you think about that elimination, Jeffrey?
Well, I echo everything that's just been said, such as, I'm glad we're now in this state, we're already in a state in competition where everyone's doing really good work. And there's no real obvious weak link of the bunch. And Brooks and Gleb, I thought both did really good and really very well put together work this past week. But as for her being eliminated, yeah, I guess I'm not really too surprised, especially given that she clearly didn't have a strong enough fan base to keep her going for next few weeks or so.
Yeah, and let's talk about what Cordell alluded to. We saw Chandler Kenny in the not really bottom three. It was nerve wracking a little bit because she did end up in the middle of the pack, and there was, her scores, and she did have sort of underwhelming performance, not a bad performance by any means, but the judges kind of are holding her to a higher standard because she did start at such a high level, which I think is fair to a certain degree, but also like she can dance better than everyone else on that stage, and the judges will be looking for more from her, which that part of it is a little unfair. But she there were two contemporaries, and she wasn't the higher scoring one, which I never would have guessed. Going into the night, what did you think about her brush with Dancing Death and her performance, Cordell?
Yeah, I mean, I thought her performance was great. But I think what did her in was going first for the night. Usually when you're the first one to go, chances are you're not going to get a high score or a competitive score to keep you at the top of the leaderboard. And then also it was just one of those nights that the people who we thought, were going to be in jeopardy, like your Phaedras or Ilona, they were able to bring it. Even people like Danny was a surprise of the night for me. So mix that in and kind of just getting lost in the shuffle. Wasn't surprised to see her in Jeopardy. I'm hoping this is the only time we see her in Jeopardy. I think she deserves a spot in the finals, but it's up to the fans and the viewers to vote and rally behind them. But I think hopefully for Disney Week, depending on what she gets, this is her redemption week to sell through and show that she belongs in this competition.
What did you think about Chandler, Jeffrey?
Well, I thought everything about her routine was stunning from the images to the moves, plus the song she and Springton danced to was quite an elegant choice. And yeah, I mean, her going first this past week, well, yeah, maybe that did do her in a bit, but hey, lucky for her that she still managed to, she's gonna continue into next week at least. And yeah, I too am curious to see how she could possibly improve, especially on Disney night, and see if she can do better to avoid, being a potential bottom three or something.
And Cordell, you mentioned Danny. He had the other contemporary, and he ended up tied at the top of the judges' leaderboard, which again, as a result, I was not expecting, but I like it. I like that different celebs are stepping up to the plate so that we don't have like a really firm, fixed, like, okay, these are the top four, and everyone else is just going to be picked off one by one as we go along. Um, so it was nice to see that. Of course, we got a lot of strength moves and lifts and tricks from that routine. But he also delivered emotionally in a way that he hadn't really up to this point in a routine. What did you think about Danny Cordell?
Yeah, I thought this was the routine that really just showed everyone that he's a true contender. As we've mentioned, he's just been kind of middle of the pack, so I thought maybe, okay, he might place, middle of the competition. But this week he really showed me that he definitely has what it takes to be in the finals. And to your point, it just makes it more exciting because, week 1 and 2, we kind of thought we knew who the final four would be, but now that Danny's in the mix and a few others, it's really exciting to see how everything is going to shake out.
What did you think about his performance, Jeffrey?
Well, it's another example of how one must never underestimate athletes in the ballroom. I mean, Danny, this past week in particular, certainly showed a lot of strong images, moves, and the performance itself also had some strong production values. But yeah, he's really looking like a strong contender. And well, of course, seeing how competitive his is becoming, the season has become already, yeah, well, it should be interesting to see how far he'll go.
And of course, tied at the top of the judges' leaderboard with Danny was Joey Graziadei, the bachelor who I don't know. I'm starting to think, maybe we have a winner. Again, we've seen the momentum shift very, shift wildly in the first few weeks of the competition. So you never know what's going to happen necessarily, but he's definitely got the goods, and we know he probably has the fan base. So it's going to be hard to beat him, especially if he keeps at this high level. Because he's had that progression that Chandler hasn't been able to show. It was almost lucky that he started off kind of middle of the pack or like upper middle of the pack, and he's had room to move up from there. And right now he's 2 weeks in a row as the top scorer. What do you think about him, Cordell?
Yeah, to your point, he's definitely have shown over the last couple of weeks that he's the one to beat. I mean, just with the fan base alone, and we can see that he can, dance quite well. That's a deadly combination for this show. And also with him, getting the support from the key demographics that watch Dancing with the Stars. I mean, you'll be a fool not to put your money behind him as the winner, if not the runner-up for this season.
What did you think about him, Jeffrey?
Well, I think he continues to get stronger and stronger as the season goes on. I mean, I guess I go what Cordell just mentioned. He has everything going for him from the strength to the fan base to, well, yeah, I guess those two key factors in particular. Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't make it to the top two at least, I'll be shocked.
But at the bottom of the leaderboard, we had someone who started the season pretty strong, and paired with Daniela, who has had a really strong track record. Obviously, brought an NBA basketball player the Mirror Ball Trophy a few seasons ago. Dwight Howard. I'm worried that he's plateaued. He's still stuck in the sevens with some of the judges. Um, and even though he's showing some improvement, I'm not sure he's keeping up with the rest. But that said, he was at the bottom of the leaderboard and survived the elimination. So we know he at least has a stronger fan base than Brooks. And possibly enough of a fan base to keep him around. And so hopefully he can have a breakthrough. Keep him around. Just keep him around until like whatever the Halloween theme is, because I want to see what Daniela does with him on that.
Mhm.
I'm just holding on hope that he survives another week. What did you think about his routine and his prospects, Cordell?
Yeah, I've been surprised just by his, performances and the scores for him the last couple of weeks. To your point, a little nervous to see if he's going to be able to make it as far as we initially thought. But to your point, I feel like if he can stay around Halloween week, I think that might be where the tides turn and you kind of see have that longevity in the competition. But it just depends next week in terms of, his dance style, of course, which team he's a part of, and if Daniela is able to really just pull out something for him to really just make him be a standout and not have the viewers forget about him as they're kind of, pushing their attention to other contestants.
What did you think, Jeffrey?
Well, it's interesting because after week one, I had him listed as an early front runner, but after this past week, well, he's kind of fallen out of that. I mean, and I thought he gave, the performance he gave, I thought was very heartfelt, and the ending with his kids coming on stage to embrace him was a nice touch, and I too hope he doesn't get eliminated next week so he could participate in Halloween week the following week, and hopefully he makes it through at least there. And well, we'll see if he has enough, I guess, enough strong enough fan base to really keep him going. But if not, well, he might be on the chopping block.
Now, there was a performance that was not scored, obviously, performance between Derek Huff and Hayley Huff, who suffered a cranial hematoma last December and went through surgery and long physical therapy process. And she came back and she's dancing at what looked like full strength. I thought it was a really moving segment and routine. I'm really happy for her. I'm happy for both of them. What did you think about them together, Cordell?
Yeah, just echo exactly what you said. It was a beautiful, emotional and moving routine. To your point, just glad to see Haley out there and doing what she loves, and to do that with her husband. So it was just a beautiful moment, for them just to have a special moment, not only for them, but for the fans too.
What did you think, Jeffrey?
Oh yeah, that was incredible, and seeing how well I guess Haley's been doing after I guess her hospitalization, seeing her I guess fully recover from that and being on the ballroom with Derek, giving really a dance for the ages was very emotional, and I'm glad they managed to share this dance together, and it was so unforgettable.
And with that, let's move on to Disney Night, which is coming up next week. The night will start off with an opening number to Friend Like Me from Aladdin, choreographed by the great Mandy Moore. We'll get another routine to a new song from Moana 2 called We're Back, and that will be choreographed by Britt Stewart. And then we will get our individual dances and our team dances. I'll start with the individual ones, and then we'll talk about the teams. Starting up with Super Bowl champion Danny Amendola and Whitney Carson, they will perform a jazz routine to Bye 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 from Deadpool and Wolverine. They're really expanding what Disney Night means. Um, okay. I know this was a thing in the movie. I didn't actually see it. Um, I'm a little bit baffled. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, like really, out of all of the countless Disney songs that they could have chosen, they picked NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, which isn't a Disney song. I mean, this is gonna bode well for Danny, obviously, because it's, now resurgence in its popularity. It's coming from one of the, top movies of this year. It's a jazz routine, so it's no bars. Well, I'm just messing up the whole saying of it.
No holds barred.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just getting all discombobulated. But anywho, yeah, I think it's just gonna be a great routine. I think it'll probably be one of the top scores of the night and really just kind of help Danny as he's making his way towards the mirror ball.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, given that's Deadpool and Wolverine is one of the biggest hits of the year, I mean, I guess it makes sense they used the song that was played during the opening credits during, I guess, Disney Nights tonight. And, well, I'm certainly curious to see not only how Danny and Whitney will do, but also what their costumes are going to be like who could be dressed as Wolverine and who could be dressed up as Deadpool.
Next up, we've got Joey Graziadei and Jenna Johnson. The producers don't play; they're throwing them in the deep end. They've got the samba, and they will be dancing to "Trashin' the Camp" from Tarzan. Um, I don't recognize that song from Tarzan or that musical number or what have you. Um, but it's going to be a test. And I think it'll be a good test to come now because it won't hurt him. I don't think he's in any at any risk of being eliminated at this point in the competition. So even if he has an off night, he should still it should still be something that can add texture to his journey. What do you think, Cordell?
No, I agree. Also, thank you to the producers for picking, a different song from the Disney catalog. 'Cause I think oftentimes when they have Disney Week, we've seen some of those stapled songs that have been performed over and over again. So it's good to see a different song that will be performed. To your point, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how he handles the samba. Like, if he kills it, then it's just a wrap. Like, let's just end this season. But I can also see the judges now like making him the target in terms of who they're going to nitpick for the week and kind of, just give him like eight. So I could see them kind of just shifting their attention to other stars and kind of giving him some notes as he continues through his journey.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, they got a fun song to work with. I mean, it's the one from the movie that isn't sung off screen by Phil Collins, and I don't believe that's been used on Disney Night before, so I agree with Cordell that it's not, it'll be, nice to have more variety and also, I'm seeing how stronger and stronger Joey's been getting so far. I'm certainly excited to see what he has in store.
Next up, you've got NBA champion Dwight Howard and Daniela Karagach. They will perform a tango to When Can I See You Again from Wreck It Ralph. Another song I don't recognize, a dance style I am worried for them on. Um, you know, when frame is so important in the tango. Like I'm not sure his technique is quite up there. His height is, but his frame might not be. Um, so I'm a little bit worried for them. I won't be surprised if they land at the bottom of the leaderboard again. So he's gonna have to really rely on his personality and his fan base to get him out of this potentially. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just I guess once we hear from all of the other contestants in terms of what their dance styles and songs choice will be, just based on what you just shared with us, I think he might be in jeopardy this week. I mean, he has a song that isn't well known to a lot of the public. And then the dance style, to your point, is really going to be a disadvantage for him and Daniela. I think he would have really had a better opportunity of getting a higher score if he had like a contemporary or jazz this week. Um, so we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to come down to his fans really rallying behind him, but I don't think this is really going to be a stellar performance to really bring them back to the top.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, again, it's nice to have more variety in terms of songs from the Disney catalog. I'm curious to see what the production values will be like, but I also hope Dwight delivers with his performance. If he doesn't, he'll once again be in danger of elimination. So, hey, or you better not let us down, Dwight, if you're watching.
And then you've got Chandler Kenny and Brandon Armstrong, and they do have a dance style that's a like a comeback kind of dance style. They've got a paso doble.
Ooh.
Um, they will be dancing to "We Own the Night" from Zombies 2. Was she in that? Because I know she's a Disney actor, but
I think so.
I'm not familiar with her oeuvre. Um, like she can knock it out of the park, and it's the opportunity for if there was ever an opportunity to show the judges the oomph that they want from her, you've got to bring it on the paso. So if she delivers, which she's more than capable of doing, I think this might be a comeback dance for her. What do you think, Cordell?
I agree. And just to confirm, yes, she was part of the zombies universe. So this will definitely be in her wheelhouse. I think with the dance style, this is an opportunity for her to really channel that anger and that passion that the judges are like, we need to see more of. I mean, I think the song title also speaks for itself. We own the night. Hopefully, she's able to close out the night with the individual routines and just show everyone that like she's not someone to sleep on. So,
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I agree that I think her stepping into familiar territory with, a franchise she's been a part of should be, an easy move. And, and I certainly hope she, again, once again, knocks it out the park. And I hope it's not the first of the night where she'll get lost in the shuffle like she kind of did this past week. And, and I like Cordell's idea of, hopefully it ends the night to speak as well so they could clearly own it.
mhm.
Then you've got possibly my favorite pairing of celebrity song and style. Ilona Maher, Olympian rugby player Ilona Maher, and Alan Burston will perform jazz
Okay.
to Surface Pressure from Encanto. It's perfect for her. It's absolutely custom built for her.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this routine, and it's jazz again, as you said, Cordell, no holds barred. Almost anything goes in a jazz routine. I can see her. I can see once again her doing the lifts, which will be very fun to see with Alan. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like this is gonna be a perfect week for her. I might even say we might see a 9 or 2, just on paper. And I think this is just a great way for her to kind of just get back in the swing of things. 2 weeks ago, she had a bad week, and this week, she was able just to rebound and really just put herself out there. And so for her to get back to her just joyful personality, I think this is just a step in the right direction for her to just get that support from the viewers. So I'm super excited about this routine.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Oh, well, I think it's nice to see a song from Encanto represented on Disney nights that isn't We Don't Talk About Bruno. And Alona, I thought, gave a lovely performance this past week, and I think there's a ton of potential with this one regarding the production values as well as the moves. And so I hope the end results here end up being really good at least. So I'm certainly very curious to see it.
Then you've got Stephen Nedorosik and Riley Arnold will perform a Charleston to A Star Is Born from Hercules. Now, I really do like a Charleston for him because he won't have to hold back his energy that much. He can kind of cut loose on it as long as he's on the beat. Um, so I'm kind of, that energy could work to his advantage on this in a way that I'm also excited to see. What do you think, Cordell?
No, I agree. He was definitely someone this past week who really, once again, just came into his own, really got into the character and embraced the style of the dance. I think this is definitely going to be another dance style for him that really translate well with the viewers and the judges.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, Stephen as Hercules sounds like inspired casting, and on paper, this looks like it could be a very fun routine. And this last week, I thought his performance was full of confidence and determination, and so I hope he once again delivers something strong. And I'm, of course, again very much looking forward to it.
Now, reality royalty Phaedra Parks, I think she needs a moment to avoid becoming Brooks next week. And I'm not sure this routine style is necessarily going to be at her best. I'm not sure. She and Val Chmerkovskiy will perform another jazz routine to Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. I think it'll be fun. I hope it has enough content because if it's just okay, she's done. I think. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, and I mean, she's the second housewife to have this song because I think Nene Leakes also danced to this as well. So, um, like I love Phaedra, but I just don't think she's at that stage yet in terms of really selling the character and the dance to really give a explosive jazz routine. Could be surprised on Tuesday, but to your point, I'm like, she has to really just bring it and really just let go, trust Val, and she can have a moment. But if she holds back, I think she's going to be in jeopardy of going home.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, this past week, I thought Phaedra really gave such a step up from the week before, and with a very moving routine. Although I agree that she needs to really deliver next week because if she doesn't, she could be on the chopping block sooner rather than later. So we'll have to see.
And finally, the Bachelorette Jen Tran and pro Sasha Farber will perform a rumba to Kiss the Girl from The Little Mermaid. I can't remember if we've gotten Kiss the Girl specifically from The Little Mermaid before, but I feel like we've gotten The Little Mermaid a lot on
Yes.
Disney nights. It's time to retire the Little Mermaid for at least a few seasons. And because Disney owns everything. Like we mentioned before, they own Fox, and so they have Deadpool and Wolverine here. Um, so it's yeah, it's enough. There's enough with this, but Rumba for Jen, I think she'll do well. I don't know if it'll be the most memorable dance of the night, but I think it should be reliable and safe and secure for her. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like she's been doing a lot of like ballroom or dances and whole. Like I haven't really seen her, and maybe I might have missed it, doing like a cha-cha or some or something more exciting and show stopping like the other contestants. So to your point, I'm just afraid that she might kind of fade into the background, which at this stage of the competition you can't afford to do. Um, with that said, I think she's gonna do a solid job. I don't foresee them really getting dinged by the judges. But I don't think it's gonna be like a 9 or 10 worthy routine. So middle of the pack.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, this past week, I thought Jen really gave such a wonderful conclusion to the evening. And for next week, while I agree that Little Mermaid songs have been done to death on Disney nights, they at least have a great one to work with this time. And it should be interesting to see where in the show this gets placed because, if it happens early, then and as Cordell, then I agree with Cordell that it's possible she could get lost in the shuffle, but hey, I'm certainly curious to see how this will turn out.
Which brings us to the team dances. And looking over this list, there is definitely I would say, a clear front runner team and an underdog team. But we've seen constantly the judges like to be, no, actually, the underdogs did a better job.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens. The first is Team Goofs. They will be performing. I think I can't tell from this font. It's either 1-1 or I think eye to eye, um, from the Goofy movie. I think it's eye to eye. I looked at it in a font with serifs, and it had. That will be, and as usual, the team captains are the lowest scoring celebs of the night, I believe, is what they're doing again, of the season so far. So Ilona is the team captain of this team, and she will be dancing with Joey, uh, Chandler, and Jen. So I
Oh,
think that's your advantage team right there because you've got all the heavy hitters and the two Bachelor Nation contestants. They certainly won't
yeah.
be wanting for votes. Um, so that's that has potential. But again, they're going to have the microscope on them. What do you think, Cordell?
I agree. And also, I love that song. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. So I'm happy that they're doing a routine to this. So really excited to see, how they will dance to this and all of that. Definitely can see the judges being a lot stricter on them in terms of the scoring. So hopefully they're able to live up to the hype and be the top team when it's all said and done.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, it should be interesting to see how they all work together and how their strengths combine and see if they can create something that really knocks it out of the park. And it should also be interesting to see how the judges score them or really critique them, I guess. But well, again, it should be one interesting team dance to watch out for.
And then Team Roar will be performing to I Just Can't Wait to Be King from The Lion King. The team captain is Dwight. He will be joined by Danny Amendola, Steven Edorosic, and Phaedra Parks. So this is a mix of celebrities. You've got a couple of athletes, one giant, one diminutive, relatively speaking, or no, three athletes because then
Yeah.
Danny's in the middle, um, and then Phaedra with them, which is just kind of a mismatch. It feels like in terms of their personalities and their styles, but again, this is the team I would not expect as much from necessarily. But since team dances are free for alls, there's no rules. They don't have to do anything specific. Dwight's height can come back to be an advantage. Steven's gymnastics can come in to be an advantage. Danny's strength, of course, him doing more lifts, and Phaedra's personality. She's a decent dancer, but I don't see what she brings that's gonna really elevate the routine. I'm hoping she's good. Yeah, I think she'll be good, but we'll see. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's a very eclectic team. Um, I think they'll definitely bring the entertainment. Phaedra's full of personality. Dwight, I think, can be a bit of a ham in a good way. And then you have Steven and Danny, and I think the chemistry will probably be there in terms of them just having fun and letting loose, and hopefully that can inspire Phaedra just to let loose a little bit more. So hopefully we get to see a different side from her in terms of just the dancing piece. um, yeah, I'm curious to see how it's all gonna come out. I could see the judges, depending on their individual scores, maybe throwing them a bone, and they're the team that wins between the two, but we'll see.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, this definitely sounds like an underdog team to watch out for. I mean, I'll certainly be curious to see how it turns out. They especially have a fun song to work with, and the production values alone ought to be imaginative at the very least. So, and again, as mentioned with the previous team, I'm certainly very interested in seeing how these four work together.
Yeah, I agree with Cordell. I think this team is going to have the most fun together. because of the personalities on this team. So that can really translate in a big way on the dance floor. So now that we know what the dances are going to be, who do we think is going home? I'm looking at it and I am thinking she needs a big breakthrough routine to avoid going home. I'm gonna say Phaedra. I'm sorry, Phaedra. Housewives haven't done that well on the show historically. Um, we know Dwight is going to have a fan base, so if he does better than he has done in the last week or two, there's going to be nowhere to hide, no buffer.
Mhm.
So I am worried for her. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, I agree. I think Phaedra, Dwight could be a possibility if they decide to do another bottom three. I would probably say Jen could join them. So I think it's gonna be between Phaedra and Dwight, with Jen probably just getting a scare from the producers.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I do have Phaedra in my top spot on Gold Derby with Dwight in second. So I think it's entirely possible. And as Cordell mentioned, Real Housewives have not done well in the ballroom, and seeing how competitive this is really becoming, well, yeah, I have a feeling she may end up getting lost in the shuffle soon.
And who do we think now, like updating our perceptions of these contestants, who do we think is winning at this point? I think I did officially move Joey into my number one spot. What do you think, Cordell?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely Joey, with Chandler, and Steven, and possibly Danny, nipping at his heels. So yeah, I would say those four right now are the ones I'm thinking are the ones to beat, with Joey in first place.
Jeffrey?
Well, I agree with Cordell. Yeah, I do have Joey winning at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, he has everything going from being a member of Bachelor Nation to his fan base to really some killer dances. So, I mean, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to put him in the front runner position right now with Chandler in second. I do agree with, and Steven in third. So, yeah, I think those are, I think smart money to put on right now.
And everyone watching this can make your predictions at goldderby.com every week to, you can answer who will have the high score, who will have the low score, how many tens will the judges give out, which judge will give the most points for the night, which is usually Carrie Ananava, just a little cheat code there, and who will give the fewest points for the night, and of course, who will win the season and who will be eliminated. So you can prove us wrong, or you can agree with us and compete every week. And thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. And Jeffrey and Cordell, thank you for joining me as always. Until next week, we'll see you then.